Is it cap or fact? Former Gennady Golovkin trainer Abel Sanchez says Charlo, Bivol, they can't beat Canelo Alvarez. But wait, there's more. There are 3 guys that possibly have what it takes to beat Canelo Alvarez. I'm going to talk about all that and more in this video. What you need to do is stay tuned. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. This is your one-stop shop for all your boxing news, the latest and greatest. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're far too kind. Follow me on Instagram. That's my social media you see. At BoxingEgo1. Follow me on the gram. Now, I made this for you guys. Abel Sanchez, he's been a rival to Canelo Alvarez because he used to train one of Canelo's biggest nemesis and arch rivals in his career, and that is Gennady. Had no guys, had Max, has Posh, is not the Abel, right? Y'all know the story. Oh, this is funny. Rustless in Seattle. Look how they did Pete Carroll. That's hilarious. Follow me, like I said, on the gram. And I also made a video about Billy Joe Saunders. Check that video out. Ego Weight Watchers. Back to Abel Sanchez. So I made this for you guys so you guys can see. And we'll get into what Abel Sanchez had to say about Canelo payday. You want payday? Let me see if I can raise it up a little bit. This is an interview with Fight Hype that Abel Sanchez did. I'll put the link in the description. He says, and I quote, "The only people who can be a tough fight for Canelo Alvarez are, there's 3 of them, Artur Beterbiev, David Benavidez, and a well-trained Golovkin. Those are the only people who can beat Canelo, the ones who walk him down. These are the only ones that can threaten him." End quote. Now, I want to know from you guys, do you believe this statement from longtime trainer Abel Sanchez to be cap or fact? To me, I think it's cap, personally. And I'm going to explain why. One, he's saying that, first of all, the people he did pick, he picked some good names. So I'll give him that. The people he did pick, I think, give Canelo problems and or have a style to possibly beat him. Canelo's a very good fighter, but those guys could all give him a tough fight. Abel Sanchez, he pretty much said what I'm about to say, but he said Beterbiev because of his size. See, Beterbiev's like a tank, you know, and Beterbiev, you've seen his fight with Marcus Brown, his very last fight. He fought, and I don't think he looked great in the early rounds, but as soon as he got that cut over his eyebrow and he was leaking into his eye, that's when the animal came out, and he really started putting some menacing shots together, ultimately stopping Olympian Marcus Brown. So I think Canelo, him at 175, it's still an unproven thing. He only has 1 fight. And truth be told, Bivol could be a tough fight because if we're being honest, Canelo didn't look great versus Kovalev. If we're really being honest, I don't think he looked great for Kovalev. I told you that fight to me is FAF, but I don't think he looked particularly what you would call great versus Kovalev. He was having issue just with Kovalev's jab. Kovalev's power, size, and jab, it was hard for him to get in, and he was seeming almost out of answers, and then out of nowhere he just knocks out Kovalev, whatever. But Bivol, you know, he can box. He's bigger than Canelo, as you guys see in this picture. So Beterbiev, he's a certified threat. I also feel David Benavidez is a threat to anybody at that weight class. I've always said that. Big fan of David Benavidez as well, and Beterbiev. And then who was the last? Oh, he said Golovkin. And see, that's where we disagree. I don't think Golovkin at this point, he even though he maybe, I don't know. I don't look for Abel Sanchez to quote unquote keep it real because he trained Golovkin. You know, so he said a well-trained. He know Triple G finna get beat up by Canelo. Like, listen, my thing, I'm not big on the Canelo Triple G for a few reasons. For one, Canelo, the second fight, I thought he made great adjustments from the first fight that I thought he did lose to Triple G. Big drama, guys. Big drama show, right? I thought he made good adjustments and fought a different style, and I thought he beat Golovkin. He had some problems as Golovkin, because Golovkin got some heart, or at least back then, you know what I'm saying? He had some heart, so Golovkin tried to kick it up a few notches, and he hurt Canelo late in that fight. But I think Golovkin lost that fight because it was too little too late. You can't wait for nearly the end of the fight and then start coming alive. And he just dug an early grave for himself by not being active enough and not really having any answers. So I give Canelo credit. I thought he beat him in the second fight. Some people disagree. Some people think Golovkin somehow won the second fight. So that being said, so much things have happened in between the second fight and now what is to be the third fight. For one, Canelo hasn't got past Bivol. For two, Triple G, we don't know how he's going to look versus Ryota Murata in Japan, a guy who has a home court advantage. And we don't know how he's going to look, and he hasn't gotten past that guy. So this fight is, to me, is dry. This fight should have happened. If they were going to do the trilogy fight, it should have happened when they first got to DAZN. And Abel Sanchez, he can say whatever he wants. He's like, oh, a well-trained Golovkin. Golovkin always appears to be in pretty good shape for his fights. That's not the thing. He's older, he's regressing, and he looks like he's on the decline. I really, truly believe that Golovkin lost to Sergey Deryevchenko. Now, you don't have to take my word for it. I don't switch up. The only thing I switch is my draws. I ain't switching up out here. You can look at my videos, and I said the same thing in real time right after the fight. See, that's the brilliance of my channel and platforms like YouTube, where all the evidence is there. I don't have to make up things, and you guys can, if you're so inclined, do the research, and then you'll hear my live commentary from the Golovkin fight immediately after the fight, where I talked about it. And I was like, man, Deryevchenko won that fight. We don't switch up. Again, it's too much space in between the second and third fight. So I disagree with the third pick from Abel Sanchez. And he was saying that he thinks that Golovkin, if he's trained well, I don't think that's going to be it. Because you look at Golovkin versus Steve Rolls. Is he crying? Oh, he going to cry in the car. So if you look at the Steve Rolls fight, Golovkin was getting tagged. Like, he was getting tagged and hit with shots. He's never been someone who's like supremely relying on a well-balanced offense and defense. And he's older now. And then the biggest thing is Canelo played it smart. He wanted this. This is exactly what Canelo's team wanted. They wanted to age Golovkin out. Hopefully he regress. Father Time is undefeated. And then pick him off and try to assassinate his character in the ring and try to end the trilogy with a knockout and be like, look, I told you I'm the best. I'm better than him. Which, I mean, you could do that with anything. Like, you can have any fight past his prime and then, you know, it's an outcome. But would it have been that outcome if they ran it back and did the trilogy immediately? We don't know. But that's just what it is. But Triple G, he's declining. Canelo has more experience at the heavier weight classes. I don't see what y'all see. Listen, if I was DAZN, I would say kiss Mike, right? I would not put up no 40, 50,000 million dollars to see this fight again. Even the boy Antonio Margarito just did an interview at the Roman Chocolatito fight, and he said Canelo Triple G3 at this point, who want to see that? And y'all said I was hating. And Antonio Margarito, he a former fighter. He from the same country as Canelo. They're both of Mexican descent. And he's saying the same thing that I'm saying about who wants to see Canelo Triple G. But this is how Canelo moves. He waited for Triple G to get old. Abel Sanchez thinks his former pupil has a chance, but I don't. Again, if Triple G was going to beat Canelo, it would have been in the first or second fight. Seeing how he couldn't get fair scorecards that everyone can agree with in those two fights, now that he's declining and he'll be 40 years old come September, things like that. And he should have lost to Derevyanchenko, and he was getting tagged by Steve Rolls, and he had 0 fights for 2021. So he's been inactive. There's been his actual activity has been very spotty. I see him doing nothing with Canelo. And then for Canelo, somehow, some way, he figured out, the fountain of youth, and his stamina is incredible. He's not getting tired in fights anymore. And that was one of the major problems in the first fight. I was there live at the first fight. I covered it as credentialed media. And now that major obstacle of Canelo fatiguing in fights has mysteriously been resolved, and Canelo has experience in all the higher weight class, I give Golovkin 0 chances. So I'm going to call cap on what Abel Sanchez said, because to me, I think Charlo has a better chance of beating Canelo. I'm not saying Charlo would beat Canelo, for the record, but I'm saying if we're going to line up people that have a better shot to push Canelo, it's not even just about beating him, just pushing him. I think Charlo is more in his physical prime, his mental prime. He's more youthful than Golovkin, etc. So I just think it'll be, at this point, a better fight for sure. Golovkin, look at Golovkin, he getting punched all in the face. You know what I'm saying? Look, y'all see that? Big drama, God. He getting punched all right on the chin. And we know Father Time's undefeated. There's only so much of that you're going to be able to take, especially when you've been inactive. Your weight could have ballooned up in some of your off season. Canelo already beat you a couple years ago, and he has the better experience. This is why Canelo played it like this, because he wants to get the last laugh, so to speak, so he aged Golovkin out. Because the same thing he's telling Golovkin a couple years ago when DAZN wanted to make the fight, and when Golovkin wanted to make the fight, he was saying, oh, he offers me nothing. Now he's saying the same exact thing to the in-prime David Benavidez and Jermall Charlos of the world, saying, hey, y'all go that way. I'm busy. Go that way. Fight each other. You guys have nothing to offer me. He said the same thing to Triple G, and I can prove it. Listen, you can say whatever you want about me on the channel, but I prove everything I'm saying. I'm ready to back up every word I'm saying. I'm like Muhammad Ali, baby. I'm the greatest. I shook up the world. I'll back up every single thing I'm saying. Or if you don't know, you could do the research and find out Canelo said all these things. So I disagree wholeheartedly with Abel Sanchez's comment for the final third person, Triple G. I don't give him a shot to beat Canelo at 168. I give Charlo a better chance than that. Y'all want to hate on Charlo? He got a great jab. He got some fundamentals. I've seen him use his defense. Right? He said he has an underrated defense, actually. You know what I'm saying? If you look at the Brandon Adams fight, he was fighting off the ropes. Just underrated pizzazz. And certain styles make fights. I keep telling you. Canelo keeps fighting flat-footed, like European, Eastern European guys, Russian guys from Croatia and all this other stuff. And certain styles are bound to give him more problems. The guy that, listen, this tells you everything you know. Canelo has frequently black sparring partners in his training camp for his biggest fights. But he's fought one black fighter, Danny Jacobs, in his last 13 fights. So you're utilizing the services of African-American fighters while training to get that good work. And I'm not saying that's the only ethnicity or people that get good work, but that is some work that you're utilizing in your training camp, and you haven't really fought the Demetrius Andrade, the undefeated Jermall Charlo, right? Guys like that. And that's a reality. You can say whatever you want, but that's the reality of it. So I think at this point, Charlo and Benavidez are definitely live dogs. I like Beterbiev. He's a live dog. You know, these are all the live dogs. I think they all have a greater shot than Triple G. Triple G, Abel Sanchez, he trying to make it all cute, say, oh, if he has a good camp. I mean, he a professional fighter. You fighting a rivalry. Why wouldn't he have a good camp? You know what I mean? So I think Triple G is just not in his prime years. That's just what it is. He's not in his prime, and he has no experience at the 168 mark. Neither does Charlo, but at least what Charlo has on his side. Look at Mike Tyson. Hey guys, I'm so happy. I'm elated. I'm glad to be here. I'm hoping for a prosperous year. I want to see everybody succeed. Right? Charlo at least has youth on his side. You know what I'm saying? And he's a big guy at 160. So giving himself a little bit of a break on the weight cut would actually probably benefit him. So that's why we already know. This is why Canelo picked who he picked. And guys like Dimitri Bivol, maybe he can make it tricky, but Canelo is consistently going after certain styles, guys with limited power, limited foot movement from certain regions, etc. Like, name the last person that you would consider supremely athletic, like freakishly athletic, guys with explosive power, explosive speed, fast twitch muscles. Like Jermall Charlo has that. Look at his knockout versus J-Rock. Fast twitch. He like slipped the jab and said, "Ush," and came back with a brutal uppercut. That counter uppercut is going down in history as one of the craziest counter uppercut knockouts that we've seen in boxing. You know what I'm saying? Or if you look at Jermall Charlo when he fought against Dennis Hogan, keep in mind, I get it, Charlo might fight Munguia next, but Munguia fought Dennis Hogan out of Australia. Now that's a knife. He was down under, and Munguia lost that fight. If we're being real, he should have lost that fight. Maul Charlo got in there with him and had him doing backflips and somersaults like he was Simone Biles, Dominique Dawes. He had him backflipping and spinning around and stuff from the power. So don't get it twisted. The Charlo brothers, both of them are explosive. I know this. I know that. Canelo knows this. Eddie Reynoso knows this. So at this current juncture, I would lean towards, if we're talking about not necessarily guys that can beat Canelo, but at least push him and give him the most competitive fights, I would say Charlo or Andrade over Triple G at this point. Triple G hasn't looked impressive, and he's been super inactive, and he's 40, period. And I think that's a reason why it's kind of a cash out fight. That's why isn't Triple G fight against Charlo? Charlo been calling him out. He don't want that. He don't want that. Abel Sanchez didn't want that. And I know he left Abel Sanchez at this point, but there was a point where Abel Sanchez was asked about the Charlo fight. He didn't want that smoke. So I think there's a reason for that. So I partly agree with what Abel Sanchez about the other guys. I think Beterbiev gives Canelo issue, Benavidez, and Charlo. Maybe even Bivol. But I still think Bivol, he's more up Canelo's wheel, like he's more Canelo's speed. Like here's the thing. Name somebody that Canelo fought in his since he's been on DAZN that fights closer to Bivol, and then name someone he fights that's closer to Benavidez or Charlo or Andrade. Completely different. That's my riddle. If you disagree with what I'm saying, tell me somebody who stylistically matches up with Benavidez, Charlo, or Andrade more than Triple G's and Bivol's and Saunders and Alien Yildirim or whatever his name is. You know what I mean? Bro, Yildirim, Billy Joe Saunders, Caleb Plant. You know what I mean? There's probably more similarities stylistically than a fight with David Benavidez, because, like, for example, Billy Joe Saunders, he don't have pop like that. He don't have cracks like that. David Benavidez, completely different style, because he has fast hands, crazy combination, that rapid fire stuff, and he got cracks. Completely different. Charlo, there's no one that really matches. Even Jacobs, you know, that's probably the closest to a Charlo, you know, in terms of African-American style, big. But the thing is, Jacobs had been in tough fight after tough fight after tough fight. So he was almost a little bit gun shy. Like, I don't know what Jacobs was doing in the first 5 rounds of the Canelo fight. And he still made it 12 rounds with Canelo Alvarez and was landing big shots, banking on Canelo later in that fight. So imagine Charlo, who's younger than Jacobs, and he's aggressive, but he can also be methodical. Not like Ruslan Provodnikov, he's just going to walk forward. He's going to try to make it make sense and come forward with an approach. You know, I think these are just all good fights, but it is what it is. Canelo's fighting Bivol. Deal with it. At the end of the day, I'm the best in the business. Let me know how I did in this video. We unpack. Coming to you live. In them up. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Boxing Ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster.